loud. Okay. All right. So welcome everyone. This is our weekly team huddle, and this is actually crazy as it is. This is the last huddle of June, and it is June 24th, 2018. And so, it just always, it never ceases to amaze me how quickly we plow through these days and these weeks and these months. But at the same time, I remember hearing this years ago from Debbie Neal, that time is an illusion. And you really, even though we have one full week left of Arbonne, in the Arbonne world of time, it's kind of like an eternity. Not exactly in that way, but there's a lot that can be done in 7 days. And so we want to have this balance of realizing we want to take advantage of every moment as we have it, that we don't want to waste our days away. But at the same time, not all time in Arbonne is equal, meaning these next 7 days, you have the capacity to really reap all of the seeds you've been sowing for the last 30 days, last 60 days, last 90 days. And many times what can happen in these next 7 days, the last 3 days of the month, the last 2 days of the month, can be significantly more than maybe what you've even done the last 2 weeks. And so it's not to create inconsistency in the business, but it's just that's kind of how, this business plays out a little bit. So we have had a couple week break from having some guest VPs, but not tonight. I am totally pumped to hear from this girl. I was introduced to this girl through Amy Hazelton, who you guys, I think, all probably fell in love with like I did. I mean, she is like, even through Zoom, she is this ball of magnetic energy and positivity, and just the way she talks just makes you feel like, oh, I could do this, like I could do anything. And so this is her first promoted out nation, Becka. And Becka, do you say McKernan?
McKernan, you got it, yeah.
So, and Becka, did you introduce me onto the call that I shared for Amy?
Yes.
Okay, so Amy was driving in the car, so Becka introduced me, and then once I kind of did some like Facebook snooping around, I'm like, this girl's amazing, and then I was like, oh my gosh, this girl's going nation, and so it's just been fun to kind of watch it unfold. So I wanted to hear her story. I haven't ever heard her story. I don't really know her story, but I'm just excited to share, because anyone who promotes to the top of the company has a story and has overcome things and has life lessons and experiences that we can all glean from, no matter where we are in our journey, no matter our age, no matter, any of those things. So I'm excited to introduce Becka. She's 28 years old. She works full-time still as a labor and delivery nurse, which I want to hear about that, being a full-time working nurse. And do you work nights?
I do, yeah.
So she works nights. Plus, she has built this Arbonne business in the last 4 years. She's married to her high school sweetheart, Steve. They have a fur baby named Mava. She's been with Arbonne for 4 years, and she's direct to Amy, and she lives in New Hampshire. So, Becka, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you just pour into us, and I can't wait to absorb and hear it all. So, thank you for taking the time to share. I'm really excited.
Absolutely. So guys, give me like a little thumbs up, thumbs down if my Wi-Fi goes out. I live in an old house, and I always get nervous doing calls that I'm somehow not going through to you. So just don't be afraid to say something. Good. So first off, Mizzy, thank you so much. This is so fun. This is my first my team call since I went nation. It's one of those fun things that's like, you guys will be part of my journey, because it's just fun. Like, I've gotten asked a few times since, but I'm like, oh, like, it's so exciting to kind of, know that other people kind of want to hear your story. So it's an honor, and it's really fun that I get to be part of your story. And I know, Missy, when you did our team call, my team is still lit up from your call, and there are Post-it notes all over my team's walls now. So what you have done has totally lit a fire in my team. So we thank you for that. So I'm going to get into it. I was like, oh, I'm just going to keep it short. And then I started writing out my story, and I was like, oh no. So I'll try to speak quickly, and if you need to cut me off, please do. But I just wanted to kind of share with you guys my journey. If you're a type A person, there are little 1 through 5, I think, tips in there. So kind of sneak those in. And then sort of I'm going to wrap it up by telling my RVP to nation story, because that's the one that I've been sort of writing in my head for a really long time. So I want you guys to hear that too. So yes, what you heard from Missy, I'm from a really small town in New Hampshire, and I'm a full-time labor and delivery nurse. I've been doing nursing now for almost 6 years, which is crazy. And Arbonne this month marks my 4-year anniversary with Arbonne. Which is so crazy. So 4 years ago, I was introduced to Arbonne by being invited to one of the, facial parties that we've all been invited to, or we all invite other people to. And honestly, I wanted nothing to do with it. My friend Jen invited me, and I thought Arbonne was an old lady, smelly makeup company. I thought that it was something that was like totally not in my ballpark, nothing. So I told myself that I would go, but I wouldn't buy anything, and I probably wouldn't have a smile on my face, and I would be confused why I was there. And honestly, the day of the party, Jen called me, and I was like, oh, thank goodness she's canceling. And it was quite the opposite. It was her saying, everyone else has canceled, but this girl, Amy, still wants to do this party. Like, can you please come and be like my wing woman? Just show up. And I was like, oh my gosh, now I have to go and look like I care. So anyway, I went. And honestly, that's tip number 1 for me. Really kind of Amy's tip is never cancel a party. What I didn't know was behind the scenes, Amy was a district manager at the time, getting advice from her upline, who was saying, don't cancel this party. Sometimes the smallest parties are the best ones, because you're just, even if it's one-on-one with the host, or you're talking to the host and her throw pillows and their artichoke dip, whatever it is, there's a reason that host stayed on and decided to still host for you. So go over there, because you never know what could happen. Amy, I am sure, does not regret that she went to that party. It was a gorgeous sunny day in May. She left her family at the time, and she came to this party, and she has promoted out her first NVP from a party she almost canceled. So keep that in mind, and never, never cancel a party if your host is still willing to show up and be there. So I went to that party. I was blown away. It wasn't just makeup. It wasn't smelly. It wasn't for old people. I loved the nutrition. I was obsessed with the skincare. I was a girl who went to this party. I'd never washed my face before, and I had never really gotten into protein powder. I was a day nurse at the time. I wasn't eating breakfast. So I left that party with a cleanser, because Amy told me to start washing my face, and I left with a chocolate protein powder, because she said you should probably eat breakfast, when you go to work these 12-hour shifts. Eating lunch at 2 p.m. is probably not the first time you should break your fast. So I kind of left with just that. And I remember thinking back at that party, Amy was so real. You guys, if you heard her train for your team, she's fun. She makes you want to be part of her world. So I remember being that, she was just one of those people who you just wanted to be around. So that was always in the back of my mind. But I definitely wasn't looking for the business. I happened to be flying down to Florida that next week after that party. My parents lived down in Florida. My sisters were visiting. And that whole week, I couldn't shut up about Arbonne. I still wanted nothing to do with the business, but I kept going up to my sisters being like, my blackheads are gone. And I'm like, and look at the sample packet. This one has watermelon. This one has whatever. I just was making stuff up. I was so excited. And tip number 2, again, what I learned from Amy is always follow up. I don't know if I would be anywhere close to Arbonne right now if it wasn't for Amy. Honestly, if I think back, the first email she sent me was to ask for my order confirmation, because I had said, I think I'm going to do these 2 products. So she followed up saying, I hope you had fun. What did you think? So I wrote back, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I want to order the cleanser and the protein powder. And I wrote PS, and I know this is why I'm in this, because I wrote PS, Amy, I'm seeing a lot of white Mercedes down here in Florida, ... wink. And she wrote back to me after that email, great, thanks for the order. And she goes, haha, you could have fun with this business. What do you think? And she attached a couple of those. Now I think they're called like My Story, but those quick little success stories in Arbonne. And I can still remember the day I was sitting on my parents' back porch, and I was watching some of those little success stories, and slowly my little belief and curiosity kept creeping up and creeping up. And the cool thing is that what Amy didn't know at the time, I was a full-time nurse, and I was looking to make more money somewhere. I love nursing. If any of you are in those professions teaching nursing, you love helping people, but the money never matches the amount of work you do. So at the time I was actually applying, I was an oncology nurse applying to hospice house part-time jobs because I needed something else, but I didn't want to trade that time for money. So I was kind of stuck and I didn't know. So Amy didn't know that when she offered me this opportunity, but I really feel like it fell in my lap at the right point, because when she started to explain sort of what Arbonne was, and I realized that I could maybe make money without leaving my house as much as an extra
Hey, Becca, you just froze. Ooh, hope you come back on because I'm like hanging on every word that you're saying. Okay, let me send her a quick Facebook message. Whoa. There we come. There, you're back. Look at this hilarious. You're like, I'm frozen. I'm not frozen. Okay, so where it froze up, at least on my end, you were applying for hospice, like part-time jobs, but you didn't want to trade time for money, and then it just froze.
Okay, sorry. Yes, and I could see you making a face, but you couldn't hear me saying, "Oh, am I frozen?" Okay. Hopefully I'm back. I know this is what stresses me out about these things. I can't get this Wi-Fi any better. Okay. So anyway, so I felt like Arbonne fell into my lap at the right time because it was something that I could do and not leave my house. I think I was probably saying that. So what Amy said at the time, which I give her credit for, and now I use this similar verbiage when I talk to people, is there was really nothing to lose when I was going to be joining an Arbonne business. She said the worst thing that can happen is that you just get a 35% off discount on really great products. And she said the best thing that you can do is you can fly with this business. You can do anything you want with this business, but the worst case is you just enjoy a discount. So this is my favorite quote. I have it framed in my office. It's going to be backwards for you, but it says, "What if I fall? Oh, but my darling, what if you fly?" And I don't remember, I saw it came up somewhere in my life that week when I was deciding if I should join or not. And that was what took me to just say, you know what? Worst case scenario, discount. Best case, the life of design that you want. And I decided to go for it. So my journey in Arbonne. So it took me 6 months. So I jumped in 2 feet, all excited. It took me 6 months to get my first business builder. So if you're Amy Hazelton, are you thinking that she has just promoted her first national vice president? Probably not. But I have to say good things come to those who are patient, those who wait, because my first business builder is my first direct promoted RVP, Jen, the girl who hosted that party. She watched me for 6 months. And yes, I have to say, I guess my tip number 3 is be patient and sponsor up. Because I technically could say in 6 months, I sponsored a few business builders, but they were honestly warm bodies that kind of joined the witness protection program within 24 hours, and I never heard from them again. I'm sure you guys can relate. You have people who are all gung-ho and then fall off the face of the earth. So I had a few of those, but Jen, after 6 months, was the first person who was willing to run with me. She was ready, and she decided to join my business. So be patient, sponsor up, and embrace your journey, because in those 6 months, I watched people join Amy's business, go way past me, and I had a lot of self-doubt, a lot of inner questioning. Was this really going to be for me? But I stayed the course, and honestly now, none of those people are in this business anymore. This is a longevity. This is a marathon business. It's not a quick sprint. So you have to be willing to embrace your own journey. And I remember someone said to me early on, don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. We're all in different places in this journey. So just take your own, be grateful that you were introduced to it, and just do what you need to do. So when Jen joined 6 months into my business, I had been hitting my district numbers leading up to that. And I think back to that, again, I give credit to Amy because she set the bar high with me. So by the time that Jen joined in November, I joined in June and November, we finished area by February. And honestly, I look back and I think, you're not doing your team any favors to set the bar low when they join. Amy said, Becca, to sustain a district manager, you need to be doing 2,500. She said it's easier to do with a team. Granted, I wasn't there yet, but hey, whatever. But I knew that if I could stay like that and I could prove that I could do it, I could teach other people how to do that too. And when Jen finally joined, I had the momentum, the coaching, the energy to teach her and her team that quickly flourished, that we went area just 3 months after that. So tip number 4, write down your goals. Because I tell everybody, becoming an area manager for me did not happen by accident. It wasn't something that I fell into. I honestly, on my fridge, anywhere in my house you went, you knew that I wanted to be an area manager because I wanted to go to the white party in Vegas. That was my big thing. I knew I needed to get that by the end of March. So I hit it by February. And I still had, I have this Post-it note that was on my bathroom mirror. It said, whatever the 3 months with the 10, 10, and 10. And I sent Amy every month a video with my husband and I. We did a check and like a thumbs up and sent it to her being like, here we go. It was the background of my phone. My fridge said, I will be going to this white party with a picture of the white party. So honestly, that was what my vision was. So everyone's in a different place right now. We're all in different spots. So what can you put in front of you right now to be a vision painter for yourself? Honestly, I, from day one, have been my own vision painter. Amy has helped, that is for sure. She has told me what Arbonne is about and what my goals are, but you have to vision paint for yourself before you can do it to your team. So start with you. And honestly, now I teach all of my new teammates to pick out their Mercedes. What's your dream Mercedes? And that goes on their fridge first, because there's something right there big. It's a conversation starter, and it gets people excited right away to know that this is something that you're going to be working towards. So right now, every single level of Arbonne, there's something that's significant to hitting there. If nothing else, every year, Arbonne puts out an incentive trip to these tropical places. You can have Jamaica on your fridge for several months and be working towards that at whatever level you're at. I just had an area manager hit it. She was a district before, and she's an area manager thriving going into region qual because she set her goal on going to Jamaica. So you never know what could happen. Honestly, I always tell, I'm like, if there's one word to describe me and my Arbonne aura, my vision, my journey, it's visionary, because that is what I am really good at. So I go with that. I always have Post-it notes. My phone always says something. Right now I'm on like, eating healthy and all that. So I'm trying to pull up the background of my phone, but it has a bunch of like quotes about what it means, like to be in my best shape, to for the satisfaction, for the confidence, for your happiness, for the stairs, for the bikinis, like whatever, like keep it in your mind, whatever you're working towards right now. And honestly, now my fridge has a picture of what it takes to go on the national vice president trip to Paris. I have an Eiffel Tower in my living room. This is just what I do every single time. There's always something that my mind focuses on. And there are a ton of good quotes about vision, but I love the hold the vision, trust the process, because everyone's Arbonne story is going to go like this. You're going to do better and better, but there's going to be valleys where you have to like trust that process by holding on to your vision and hold it really tight to you, because your thoughts shape your vision. But you see, I love this quote, I wrote it down. Your thoughts shape your vision. You see what you choose to see. This can relate to anything. Have you guys ever you go shopping, oh, I really want to get an Apple Watch. All of a sudden you see all the people wearing Apple Watches. You want a new car. Now you see that new car all over the road. That happened to me. That's why I sent Amy that text. I was thinking about the Mercedes, then all I could see were white Mercedes on the road. You'll start to see that when you put your goal out there. For me, this past couple of months, going nation meant Hawaii, Hawaii, Hawaii. So for me, I saw Hawaii everywhere. I went during May, my last month of nation, I went to my cousin. My cousin hosted a party for me, and I got there and it was Hawaiian themed. And I said to myself, like, does she know? And I was so confused. Why did she have a Hawaiian theme? It turns out it was her second year wedding anniversary, and they honeymooned in Maui. And here I am, the last party before I'm going to close for nation, and I'm at a Maui themed Arbonne party. I'm like, this is so weird. I was behind cars that had like Maui as their license plate. You start to see it and it excites you and it like lights a fire in you. Okay, so fast forward, that was, that first GTC I made it to that area level. I went to the white party. I went to the next GTC again as an area manager. And I left determined that GTC that I would not come back as an area again. And I had that fire lit in my belly, right? I was so excited. And I know you guys can relate to this. I don't know how many of you went to GTC or have gone to conferences, but you get that fire. And sometimes you don't even know where to place all that fire, because you are overstimulated with tons of trainings, tons of emotions, all this stuff, that you take that fire and you literally light a back burner because you don't even know where to put it in your life because there's so much. So I want to tell you guys that happened to me. GTC fire lasted less than 1 month that year that I went to GTC. By May, I was totally like, whoosh, I came home, background of my life. I had gotten engaged. So I was planning a wedding for that August. My husband and I were buying our dream home. And I totally let that overload of excuses and all that stuff take over. I was switching jobs to labor and delivery from my med oncology unit. So tip number 5 that I have for you is, do not let the reason you joined Arbonne be the excuse why you're not working Arbonne. Simply said, do not let your reason why be your excuse why not. So here I was planning a wedding, paid for by Arbonne. I bought my house. The down payment was paid for by my Arbonne paychecks. And here I am planning my bedrooms, planning my bridesmaids' outfits, and totally ignoring Arbonne because I let all the excuses and all the junk get in the way. So please learn from me today. I don't have kids, but I know a lot of you join Arbonne for your family, for your why. Yet when something comes up, that's the first reason you don't go to something. Learn today that that needs to change, because by July 1st, I lost my area. Done. I was no longer an area manager. So I had an upcoming wedding. I was moving into my house. I was changing jobs, all of that, but I lost sight of my why and I lost sight of my vision. So I was pretty embarrassed. And I remember Amy at the next meeting, she wanted me to speak about it. And I was like, I am not speaking about losing. She's like, but it's a comeback. I'm like, it's not a comeback yet, Amy. Like, talk to me when I'm nation. I'm not talking about it now. Like, it's not happening. And I was like, my team doesn't even know. I like kept it to myself. And I know a lot of VPs and other people in the Arbonne a while can relate to this. They're like, oh yeah, like, no, that was a time in my life where I was ashamed, da, da, da. I am here to tell you, do not be ashamed. And I know that sounds easy now sitting where I am, but if I could go back, I didn't realize, I think I did realize, but guess what? In Arbonne, when you demote, you do not get fired. You don't get a fine. No one's like shaming you, like pointing fingers. All it really is a chance to rebuild. That's it. That is literally it. What kind of company? I mean, it is amazing. You demote, whatever happens in your business, it's just a chance to come back, because your setbacks always set you up for better comebacks. So here's what I learned that day. Losers quit when they fail. Winners fail until they succeed. And falling down is not an accident. Falling down is an accident, but staying down is a choice. And I'll honestly never forget that day. Amy and I were talking on the phone, and she gave me permission that day to walk away from Arbonne. I'll never forget it. She's like, you can do that. Because I was so down on myself. I was so mad, so many emotions. You know, anyone who's planned a wedding and moving into a house in the same week gets that. And I knew at that point it was totally up to me that I could quit or I could fight. And I remember it perfectly. You know what I did is I picked up my phone and I texted the #1 girl on my chicken list. And I said, you know what, until this day, I have been selfish because I haven't been sharing this business with you, because I've been afraid of the result of the answer you're going to give me. So I'm here today to not be selfish, to be brave, and to text you. And I said all that. I was honest. You know, I love that. You just be honest with people. And you know what? She said yes. She said yes to joining my business that day. I don't know what happened. It was some sort of miracle that came down, but she said yes. And honestly, from that day forward, our team has been magic, because that type of energy and momentum totally lit a different fire into me. So by September 1st, so if you're following this, July, I lose my area. September 1st, I have regained my area, but this is the comeback story. By October 31st, we went into region qual, and we finished December 31st, 3 months later. So in 3 months, we became a region. And that was because it was my choice. The numbers are not magical. Nothing magic happens. But when you change your mindset from feeling bad about yourself and you don't want to look at your numbers and you're anxious and all that all the time, to just putting down your hand and saying, okay, I'm just doing it, getting back to the do, we put in so much energy and momentum that teams were just growing all over the place. And I can't even tell you where it came from. So tip number 6 is faith it until you make it. Oh gosh, I'm losing my notes. Okay, so I did not say, some people hear fake it till you make it, but I wasn't faking anything. So I don't use that phrase, fake it till you make it, because nothing was fake about the vision that I had, because it was realigned and it was on purpose. So I had faith in the process, because remember, you hold the vision and you trust the process. So faith, because you guys are on this call, because obviously you all want to grow your businesses. You probably want to be NVPs, and you have faith that you will make it there and that you can make it there. So there's nothing fake about that. So that's why I love faith it, do the work, head down, and trust the process. So I want to share kind of with you guys my vision to going nation, or my story to going nation. And I'm going to take some of it from the speech that I gave my team at the first meeting that we became nation, because this is the story I've been writing all through my journey, because I wanted to kind of capture. Is it okay, Missy, that I keep going? Okay. Kind of what happened. I promoted to nation in 2 months. So exactly, I think it was 17 months after I went region, we went into nation qual. I'm terrible at numbers. I was honestly crunching them before I got on this call with you, because I know Missy's like, I love numbers. I'm like, I just do it and something happens. Anyway, so here's what I want to say. And I want to first start with this visual, because I want to tell you guys how I crossed the road. So this is a visual, right? So you're standing on a crosswalk, and when you have to get to the other side of the crosswalk, because first off, I scare every single person that I'm trying to cross the road with, because here's how most people cross a road. They stand back and cars are zooming past, right? And you're kind of standing there, you're like looking kind of both ways, you're a little bit hesitant, you're waiting for that perfect person, the nice person who's going to slow down, who's going to wave you on, and then you wave and you run across the street. So here's how I cross the street. Every single time I stand on the edge of the sidewalk and I take one big step off the curb into the road. If I could show you a visual, it's like, boom, you know, you're not trying to walk in front of the road. You're literally just trying to take one step off the sidewalk. And this is what I do every single time. So if a car is coming, sure, I'm not trying to get in front of the car. Maybe no car is coming. But what am I signaling to the driver at that moment? I am going to cross. So I want you guys to think about if you've been the driver in this scenario, you're driving up to a pedestrian and they look kind of wishy-washy about crossing. They're standing there and they're maybe texting. They're looking back. You're like, are they waiting for a friend? Are they going to tie their shoe? Like, why aren't they going? So sometimes you slow down and then you speed back up because you don't even know. They're not declaring to themselves what they are doing. Okay? So be the driver in my situation. You're approaching this person. She turns, makes direct eye contact with you and takes one step out into the road, not into the car. Don't ever do this. Don't do this at home. But enough that it shows momentum into the road. Because every single time that somebody does that, I stop and I let them go because they're clearly going somewhere. Because the world steps aside for the person who knows where they are going. Okay? Another visual. I live in this old Victorian house. You can kind of see it's got like crown molding. It's super cute, whatever. But it doesn't have a master bedroom. It has a bedroom and a really long hallway and then a bathroom. So every single morning, my super lazy greyhound, who sleeps until like crazy hours in the morning, she lays on her bed on her side and she watches me leave the room, go down the hall into the bathroom and come back. And if you're like any girl like me, how many times do you go like in and out of the bathroom while you're getting ready? You brush your teeth, you forget your earrings, you go back. So she lays there and she watches me go back and forth. But the really interesting thing is, so my stairs down to the kitchen are at the same spot where my bathroom this way, stairs this way. Whenever I'm about to go down the stairs, she always gets up and she runs beside me. She's always standing right next to me. And I'm like, how does she know I'm not going back into the bathroom? She watches like 7 trips before. So I started to watch what I did. And the one thing that changed was my gait, the way that I walk. When I walk into the bathroom, I'm meandering. When I walk down the stairs, I must like pick up my phone and my stuff and my walk gets heavier because now I'm on purpose and I'm going somewhere because your energy introduces you before you even speak. Okay, so why these stories? I wanted to really share with you guys my story to Going Nation and capture what happened in my brain. And I know this is nation focused, and I want you guys to translate this into whatever level you're going for. If you're a new consultant going district, same stuff. Okay, so have you ever heard the phrase, faith has a sound? So that's where I'm going to start this journey, and that's where this all sort of comes from. That first story is my first step to growing a nation because it's that big, scary, unknown step. And that's declaring to your team that you're going nation, or for anybody else, whatever level you're going for. And this scared the pants off of me, and this is for 2 reasons. 1, it seemed really far away. Everyone can relate to any level they're going to. It seems far. And 2, it seems like a promotion would come off about me and not my team, and I didn't want that. So here's how I broke down those 2 things. 1 is I broke down the numbers. Here, Missy, I got into numbers at this point, but I said, okay, I want to do nation in 2 months. That's 384,000 QV, and that seems really, really far off. But when I went to the numbers and I looked at my team and their goals, I could see that it could be done because it would be everybody hitting their goals, and that would hit this bigger goal. So break down whatever you're doing. Do not stop at you and say, oh gosh, I need to do 10,000 to get to area. What does that look like? Break it down in your team. If your team isn't big enough, break it down by every person sponsoring one person, what that could look like. Break those down. It becomes reality. And I realized the second piece about making it about me is I realized what nation would look like to others. Yes, I would get that one promotion, but what was it doing for everybody else in the meantime? And I told my team this. I said, I am doing this because it is stretching you. It is stretching all of you guys to hit your goals. So I took that big step off that really scary sidewalk, and I told my team that this was for all of us. And I said this to them. I said, when we go nation, we all go nation. When we go nation, we will have hit all of our goals, because that's literally what we needed to do. When we go nation, we will light up the Facebook walls. We'll inspire our sidelines. We'll prove, and I always say this, I'm like a hot mess leader. You probably can hear how I'm talking, and I'm like, whatever. I'm like someone who can't get on their connection flights. I'm always late for things. I can't keep a plant alive. I swear, I do my Zooms always in my pajamas. I'm like, it shows that if I can do it, that each of you can do it. And everyone that you're sponsoring in can look at this girl and say, if this girl can do it, anybody can do it. And people literally went nuts. So step 1, I declared it. I told everyone, yes, we are doing this. Step 2, and that's the final step, is literally not literally, I always do that, is light yourself on fire. Don't literally do it. And that honestly would be what I would call like my 2 months of nation, is lighting yourself on fire. Because when you want to give light to others, you have to glow yourself first. You have to. You ever heard of that, you know, when they are on the airplane, you put the oxygen mask on you before you put it on your loved ones, because you have to get it in you. You have to be excited in you before you give it to anybody else. It has to start with you. So I tried to break it down of how exactly I did this, but it came down to 2 Arbonne events that I went to, and I called these inflection points. I think I always forget names and authors, but there's one really good book that talks about inflection points. Amy always references it, and she said things that happen in your Arbonne business that shift you, that change something about what you've done in your business, and you look back and say, that was the day that something changed. So I had 2 of those. And honestly, if I could give another tip, I stopped doing tips because this is more of like nation. It would be go to everything that Arbonne offers. You never know what event, what speaker, what 1 minute of one speech can do to change your business and to change your belief. So go to things, because I didn't know when I went to Albany how I'd be stopped dead in my tracks from some of these speakers. So Albany for me is my quarterly impact training. You guys have geographic different ones, but that's when I went. It was my 2nd year going as an RVP. So here I was, I'm like soaking it in. I'm like, give me anything that's going to teach me how to be an MVP. So I don't know if you guys know of Basamba Sao. He's maybe some of you haven't heard of him. Honestly, I've been inspired by him. He was in like a video Amy sent me 4 years ago. I still, when I was writing this speech, had to Google his name, and I was like, Basamba Bao. Honestly, like anybody can do this business, I swear. But you can find him. Basamba, S-A-O is his last name, Sao. So look him up. He's originally from Northwest Africa. He is amazing. He got on the stage. He's a regional vice president, and he got a little religious, and not everyone is, but he said, God gave each and every one of you gifts, and how dare you not use them to change and help the world? And honestly, I don't know why. Those were like the 2 sentences that he said, cut me like right in the gut. It was like a game changer for me. And I think what happened in that moment is he gave me permission to stop thinking about myself and think about how I could serve others with love. Because I don't know, and I don't know if I was put on this earth to be an Arbonne national vice president, but I do know that I'm put on this earth to make people smile, to make people feel positive, to change, to light people up, and to give them that extra love. And so I don't, you know, whatever it is, that's what did it for me that day. And honestly, at that moment, I stopped reaching up for that title, and I said, okay, I got to go out there and I got to do something for Arbonne, because this is just, anytime that I would get down on myself, I was like, Basamba, what did he say? I was put on this earth with a special gift. How dare I not use it? And I thank God every day that Arbonne came into my life to be the vehicle that I could use to help people. And your strength might not be what my strength is, but honestly, like I always say, it's part of my affirmations. I light up the room when I walk into it. And you speak what you think or what you want to be. So I'm not saying I say it because I do it. I say it because I want to always do that. So think about what it is to you and what your given gifts are and what you can do to help the world and to use Arbonne as your vehicle. So my second inflection point, which is totally not super profound, but it did it for me in the moment, was at GTC this year. So speaker after speaker, you know, they get up there, you cry, you feel emotional, all this stuff, you get so worked up. And honestly, when Danielle Lawlor, Danielle, L-A-W-L-O-R, I think is her last name, she took this stage, and I was literally at the edge of my seat the whole time. And this is another reason you go to everything, because you don't know who's going to speak to you. Honestly, there's going to be 100 speakers. One person comes out and even looks like you, talks like you, moves like you. You're going to be like, her. That's the person I need to start listening to trainings. And that's why you have to go Danielle Lawlor. I stopped dead in my tracks. I put my notebook down. I sat on the edge of my seat and I just listened to everything she said. I'm like, she reminds me of me. I don't know why. And she talked about, as an RVP, going back year after year, what could I do? What could I do? And one of her biggest tips, she had a great speech. Her biggest tip was she gave up TV. That was it. She gave up TV. The next year, she went back as a national vice president. So here is another tip for you guys. And this is what happened to me that GTC when I lost area, is I tried to take all of GTC home with me. Don't do that. I teach my team, take 1 to 3 important things you've learned from an entire conference, go home and just tweak your business with that. You're obviously doing a good job. You're coming to the conferences. Take something, 1, 2, 3 things, and change that about your business, because that was my one. I attended GTC. I was there 5 days, went to all these trainings, VP changing, but that one tip changed my business. I came home. I told my husband I was going to give up TV until I went NVP. And that's what I did. Thankfully, I was MVP. No, I'm not a TV addict. But what I want to tell you about this is when I gave up TV, I slept better. I'm a night owl. So, you know, it's easy for me to get an autopilot and just sit and watch. I slept better. I woke up earlier. I read more. I conversed more with my team. I dug into my team more, and I didn't die. So TV and cuddle time for me on the couch is my comfort zone. I want you to take whatever your comfort zone, you know you have it, you're thinking about it right now. It might not be TV. What is your comfort zone that's not productive? Okay? Because that was my comfort zone. And every given moment, we have the choice to step forward into growth or step back into safety. And when I gave up that safety net, magic happened. So month one was April. April, I went into Nation Qual. So, I just come off of the trainings. Obviously, April is a huge month for people. So it was my month. I knew we could do Qual if we were going to do it. So the one thing I'm just going to say about April, we went into Qual, was step one is tell everybody about what you're trying to accomplish. And not only lights a fire in you, but it gives you a commitment that because I said I would, I'm going to do it. So tell other people what you're doing. I'm telling you, the more people, I would be at the VP reception talking to my uplines. I'm like, how's it going? I'm like, oh, we're going into Qual this month. They're like, oop. I'm like, no, we are. And you say it over and over again, and actually you start to believe it because it's a big stretch goal. I have this huge sign in my dining room right now that says, if your goal doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. And it's honestly, I tell that to my whole team. I'm like, it has to scare you. You should be on the verge of nausea, and it should scare you. That means you're pushing yourself. That means it's worth it. So, so we ended April going into Nation Qual. That was huge momentum. So month two, finishing Nation in 2 is what I'll call it. We called it It's Gonna Be May. You know that, I don't know, is it Justin Timberlake, It's Gonna Be May, that song? I'm a 90s girl, I don't know. So that's what we called month 2, and everybody knew this. And this is really kind of where my Nation transformation came in. And again, relate this back to where you are right now. But again, lighting yourself on fire. I decided based on where my team was at, what we could do, it would be just as hard to do it in 3 months and as in 2 months. So I'm like, let's cut the 3rd month pain and just do it in 2. And honestly, I have to tell you guys, the reason why you have to light yourself on fire, Amy told me later, she's like, I didn't think you could do it. So if I was listening to my upline, now granted, Amy is my vision painter from day one. She has told me every single step of the way, you're going for it. But in Arbonne, you don't need an upline, you need a success line. So that day, do not wait for your upline to tell you what to do. Amy has gotten me where I got into May 1st. At that point, I stepped up into this different leadership role and said, okay, I'm not waiting for Amy to tell me what to do. I'm taking this on as my own leader, and I'm telling my team what we're doing. And we blew the pants off of May. So again, declare it to your team, declare it to the world. 2, you crunch the numbers. Again, go back to what you can do for the numbers. And 3, get into massive personal activity. Create a frenzy in your own business. And was it scary to declare that we were going into? Yes, I'm not any different than any of you. It was terrifying because my thoughts came in. What if I got the numbers wrong? What if everyone has a terrible month? What if they couldn't do it? But I want to tell you something about declaring a goal, guys. It is okay to declare a goal and not hit it. Nothing bad happens. It's going back to when I was saying, what happens if you lose a promotion? Nothing bad happens. Obviously, it's not ideal, but don't prevent you from doing it. I have a new RVP in Qual direct to me, and for the 3 months leading up, probably the 6 months, she just didn't tell me, leading up to her going RVP Qual, she got on team college, we were doing it. Do you think her team cares this month that they went into RVP Qual? This month and no, they are so on fire. So who cares about the previous months? It's not like you're lying. You're still growing and you're building that vision, but don't stop that from declaring it right now. So just go and do that. All right. Another side effect of declaring your goals to the world is going back to that kind of stepping out into the street and the universe getting out of the way for a woman who knows what she's doing. Is people come out of the woodwork. I can't tell you what happened in the month of May when people knew I was going to, people who had been saying no to hosting for 4 years, they hosted. My dad, who told me back 4 years ago that I should be advancing my nursing degree, not doing Arbonne, joined my business and became a district in 1 month. Yeah, okay. Things like that. Crazy things happen. Old friends get back into the business. I have another friend who was that girl who I called that one time. She got into it, that scary yes, and she dipped and she's back and she did district and 1 again, and now she's going into area qual. These people come out of the woodwork for you when they know that you're going somewhere. Okay. Behind the scene tips. I know I'm going crazy over, but I'm wrapping up. Missy. Okay. So personal activity tips. So I made a lot of visuals. Again, going back to visuals, I have Hawaii decor everywhere. Amy was bringing over her Hawaiian swag from when she went to Maui. She had like this lei. I literally hung it in the middle of this threshold between my living room and my kitchen. Like people would have to move out of the way. I'm like, don't touch that. That's good Hawaii juju. Literally everywhere I had stuff about Hawaii, because to me, that was it, like toes in the sand, bum in the sand, whatever you have to do. I tell my team, make like a little mental video you play over and over again. If there's any area managers on this call, some people, for me, it was taking that first step up onto the stage when I got to cross the stage as a new RVP. Whatever it is, area, it was going at, you know, to the white party, whatever you do, okay? What is the benefit of that? It's a conversation starter. People get excited. I kind of already covered that. But I wrote my commitment on the fridge, and this is different than a goal. Mine said, I will be a national vice president by May 31st, 2018. This is my commitment. And again, because I said I would do it, I'm going to do it. It's a little different than a goal because you're committing to doing it. Oh yeah, I wrote down my countdown to nation. I had it by 5,000, so I had small victories to cross off and send to my team. Literally, if you're working toward district, do it in hundreds. Area, do it in 500s. Whatever it is, cross it off and have those little victories to really show along the way. And then what did I do behind the scenes for my team? And like, this is where my growth took off, is I really dug into my team deep. Now, some people are like, okay, I only have a couple people direct to me, but if you have teams under teams under teams, don't stop at your direct, because here's what I realized about, even though I'd heard about that Masamba call and like, don't think about the title, think about serving. I still had this visual in my head, looking back, of standing on tippy toes and like grasping for that MVP title. I'm like, where is it? Like, I can get it. And when I learned about becoming a national vice president, or really any level, is it's not about standing on your tiptoes. It's honestly about kneeling down and grabbing your team by the armpits and pulling them up to you. You're not going to get it without your team's help. You can't just reach for it and hope you get it. You have to help your team. Kneel down and get them. I was honestly looking the wrong way the whole time. I kept thinking, it's up to me, it's up to me, I gotta go. No, your team needs you. And honestly, I just read something recently that said the leader walks behind the group. And I was like, no, like leaders walk out in front. They're looking for that goal. What I realized when I started really digging into my team is there are some people on my team who are in the back of the group. They have blisters. They have a wavering belief. And sometimes taking that little loop back and kind of pushing them up forward, you'd be amazed the people whose belief was wavering until someone told them that they could do it. So always think about really grabbing onto your whole team. Yes, you lead from the front, but always think about everybody else. So honestly, after this past couple of months, never felt more connected to my team. And honestly, what was I just going to say? Oh yeah, I talked about all that. I think I'm just going crazy in different directions, but I love this phrase too. I survived the fire inside of me. Or I survived because the fire inside of me burned brighter than the fire around me. And that's honestly what I did that time. I didn't have my upline telling me I could do it. I didn't have anybody. It had to come from me. So what is it about you guys? You know, if people are asking about your numbers, don't waver. Just say you're going to do it. People are curious, whatever. But I finished nation sitting on the floor of my office right here in the fetal position. Amy called it a closet. I'm like, Amy, this is my Arbonne office. Not all of us are executive national vice presidents with pretty padded couches. But I sat there and it was totally old-fashioned because I had to call Arbonne to make sure my big order went through. I had like 10 people's credit cards and one wasn't working. So my whole team crowded into this space and we're all like sweating, and they said over the phone, you've done da-da-da-da. I think I needed, I shouldn't say I think, I really should know this number. It's ingrained in me. But anyway, we needed 214 to finish in the second month, and we did 222. And that was honestly just this crazy amount of belief and energy that our team was going, like, and honestly, we had 3 RVPs go into qual that month, and that had told me later, they're like, I had thrown this month out. I had said April was a big month, May was going to be a dip, and they were over it. No, you create the vibe for your team. So, okay, I want to just quickly, sorry, I had a better close to this. No, okay, here it is. Quickly, little random tips that I just feel are super helpful, and then I'll be done because I've been going on forever. Get going on social media, guys. If you're not someone who's on social media, start following. Honestly, what I did is again, I'm comparing region to nation. I started following every national vice president who would friend me back. Instagram, Facebook, I don't care. Get going on Facebook, and do not make your Facebook an advertisement. I don't want to be scrolling through and see a flyer. I want to see you doing a boomerang drinking the cleanse, or you out with your kids and you're all drinking fizz on a mountain, or your kids shampooing with a wash. I call it like stopping the thumb scroll. Like, what's going to stop my scroll? And honestly, Facebook shows that the more videos you do, like I went live like crazy. We were coming up with, I was in the upstairs bathroom, my friend was in the downstairs bathroom. We Facebook lived in together and did 2 different facials to show people the prep work and the RE9. Like we were coming up with the craziest stuff. So make your page really fun and exciting. And honestly, I told, when Amy was in Maui last year, I said, Amy, this is the last year going by yourself. I'm going with you next year. So I followed all the everyone I could find who was in Maui. And I would be texting Amy, did you get back to your room yet and get that pineapple candle that all the NVPs got? She's like, why do you know that? I'm like, I'm like literally a professional MVP stalker. Honestly, I would be telling her things before they happen. I'm like, did you have that signature drink that they're all drinking? She thought it was nuts. But you know what? It helped. It was painting my vision. Honestly, another thing is choose to be happy and choose to be positive. I tell my team this all the time. I am not a positivity machine. I wake up every day, start with some gratitude. I'm terrible at being consistent with like a gratitude journal. I wish I did it more often, but honestly, it's now a mindset. I'm so used to thinking that way. But be a happy, positive person. People want to join a team that looks fun. People honestly have like come to me and been like, what is your team doing? Can you give me some of that energy? I'm like, you lead from the front. You just have to stay positive. There's always a choice. Lock arms with sidelines. When I was going nation, I was reaching out to new nations. I didn't even know them. I would introduce myself on Facebook and say, hey, I'm so-so. I'm working towards this goal. Like, can you give me a tip or two? And honestly, some of those were what propelled my business forward. And yes, obviously, like Amy's been my coach for 4 years. And I wouldn't say I've exhausted her, but I wanted some fresh people who had just promoted, someone who was just kind of in the same grind as me. So find other people, sidelines. I have the best. We create accountabilities with my team, accountability buddies, and I take them from one leg here and one leg here and put them together. They have similar personalities, now go. And they get competitive with themselves and they go crazy. And I've seen areas and region quals, like we have this group with these 3 areas that we're going region. Those are the 3 that went RVP qual last month. So get with your sidelines, have fun and keep it light. I swear I joined Amy because she kept it light. She didn't say, if you join my team, you have to do 8 presentations a month. You have to talk to 45 people. Yes, we want to set our expectations high. But Amy joked with me at first. She's like, hey, you'd be pretty good at this business. I'm not that salesy either. Get on their same level and stay relatable and fun with people. And honestly, my last one is don't be weird, just be you. And if weird is you, then that's cool. But I remember I always tell people, like, don't be weird. Don't like reach out to somebody like, greetings, my name is Becka and I'm an independent. No, be fun, be real, and be you. When honestly, when Trisha joined my team, when I was scared and I reached out, I was being so vulnerable, saying I'm being brave, I'm reaching out to you. And honestly, that is what attracted her. She's like, you were just being honest and raw. And I could tell that was just totally you. Don't be someone who copy and pastes a million messages. Honestly, my biggest thing, and I teach my team, is be authentically you. Your Facebook Live is not going to, I was juggling lemons to advertise the new ginger lemon cleanse. Like, I'm so weird, but it's me. And that's what people relate to. So I am sorry. This was the longest call ever, Missy. But I'll finish that.
No, it's awesome. I'm like, I'm going to get to work because it's 10 to 10 and there's a lot to do. Oh, I love it. It was incredible. And I took 2 full pages of notes on all of your thoughts. So I do, if you have just a minute, I do want to open it up for some questions because I tell my team all the time that we want to glean, and if there's something maybe that you share that they want clarification on, or maybe whatever it is. So ladies, if you have a question or anything that you want to ask Becka, this is definitely the time to do it. I always tell everybody, don't be shy. Don't be like, oh, wait for somebody else to ask the question. Just jump in and ask the question, because she's had a great journey. She's had ups and downs. You've heard all of that. So anybody have any questions or a question that they want to ask?
And honestly, anyone, feel free to find me on Facebook and friend me. I don't know. I feel like we're just better together. So if you find me and you want to message me, then too, totally can. But yeah, anyone have any questions?
Becka, I don't have any questions, but I just want to tell you that I really like you. So
I like you too, Tara.
You don't like me. You don't know me, but I really appreciated everything that you shared, and I love your energy. So don't apologize for it. I don't think that you do, but if somebody wanted to get off the call because it was going too long, they can always just get off and listen to it later. So what you had to share was impactful, and so I just appreciate it. So I don't have any questions, but I just wanted to just affirm you and tell you thank you for your time.
Well, thank you. This is just fun to
and I will say the best tip that you gave for me was the faith. I think you said faith until you make it. That was awesome.
Yep. Yeah. Love it.
Any questions, ladies? We got some pretty faces on here. Don't be shy. I guess one that I have, Becca, that you didn't necessarily touch on was just because obviously you learned how to overcome this, and then I'm sure that you have sponsored and taught other people how to overcome this. But, you know, like you're a national vice president who's still working full time, and you are working a third shift job, which is interesting to me. And so kind of maybe just speaking to how did you carve out the time? Are you a real like disciplined personality? Are you a real organized person? Did you do a lot of like virtual stuff? What did that look like?
That's a really good question. And honestly, so tomorrow night we do these like Facebook lives for our team, like on Mondays, and we're doing a nurse call because everyone's like, what are you? I have a big team of nurses. And I think that's part of it is I've, showed the vision on my own unit, but so we're doing a call just to talk exactly about that. So I think I just like had it prepped in my other notes, but yes. So honestly, so the exciting thing is I'm going part-time at the end of this summer. So I'm going to go from 3 nights a week to 2 nights a week. But my big goal was to show people that first off, you can be a full-time, were you saying something? Oh,
no, you can.
Okay. Is that you can be full-time and work this business to the top. That was really important for me to prove to other people that, not prove, but to show to people that you could do both, that you could work full-time and you could make it work to NVP. But then I wanted to show also that when you get to NVP, you can, and along the way you can too, but I don't have kids yet. So I think of like my job as like my kids. So like, that when I get to NVP, that was important to me to cut back because that was my goal. But honestly, I wish I could say that I'm a super disciplined time person, but I think the biggest thing is just fitting it in the nooks and crannies. And this is how I sponsor people because I'm like, hey, I do night shift, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I wake up, I'm tired, whatever. It is not that hard to send out a message. Honestly, it's the consistency piece of just doing a little bit every day, take off a day. Like for me, I sometimes do 3 night shifts in a row. And honestly, my team doesn't hear much from me in those 3 nights, but you betcha I'm making up for it in other days that I have off because the nice thing about nursing is you have those 3 nights on and then 4 days completely off. So there's a little balance in there, but also my network of nurses at work is massive. I have a new direct RVP on my team and we have about 13 just on my unit of consultants on my team. So I use the hospital to my advantage, which is why when someone says they're busy, I'm like, look, I am busy. I know other people are busy. The busiest people do the best in Arbonne. You have the most networks. I'm like, what are you busy with? Oh, my kid does softball. I work at it. I'm like, network. Like, open your mouth while you're at those places. And honestly, I just had my yearly eval with my boss at work, and I always get nervous because I'm like, I've dominated my unit with Arbonne people, and like, I don't want to bring my work to work, but I mean my Arbonne to work. But she's not in Arbonne. She just like follows some of us on social media. And she's like, I don't know what you're doing in Arbonne, but you have brought a different type of leadership to our unit that we've desperately needed. She's like, I know you're not doing your Arbonne work at Arbonne, but the team that you have built and the energy you put in our unit, you guys are the top leaders of my unit. And I like literally almost fell out of my chair. I'm like, what is she talking about? But again, like, you don't know that people are watching you and they're connecting you as a person to your brand with Arbonne. So when you go out into the world and you're talking and doing anything in general, like now for me, it's always my visual driving in my Mercedes and it has Arbonne on the decal. Like, you betcha I'm not cutting anybody off. They're going to be like, that Arbonne jerk. No, but it's the same thing in your day in life. And my parents taught me from a very young age, you represent yourself, but you represent us as a family, as a brand. So whatever you're doing reflects on us. And that's the same way that I take it with Arbonne. Whenever I'm doing anything, of course, I'm not a perfect human, but take it out into the world and use your Arbonne as a gift. And also just, it's going to represent you no matter what. So make it work for you, because I couldn't believe the accolades that she was giving our team and what we've done in our unit. So that kind of answered your question, Missy, but basically it's just use your networks to your advantage. Do a little bit of both. I have so many people on my team that are like, yep, and I joined Becka because she was a nurse, but she was also working her Arbonne business at work. I'm like, no, I wasn't. She's like, well, people were coming up to you and telling you that they were losing weight from their cleanse, and then someone else overheard, and then you sold one to them. I'm like, okay, I was, but so you just make it work. And, there will be like, I look at Danielle Braden, who's Danielle Pearson, who's the top income earner, I think in one of the top in New Hampshire. She's an ENVP. She raised her 6 kids, homeschooled all 6 of them while becoming a national vice president. So like, I always use her story because I don't have kids, but everyone has an excuse and everyone has their busyness. And it was important to me to show that my version of busyness worked with this Arbonne business, and it can work for you too.
That's awesome. I love that. Wow! I can't wait to rewatch this because there's so many nuggets I couldn't even like read as fast as you talk. All right, we got time. 2 more questions. So unmute and ask away. Anybody? And we will not belabor the point if you don't want to ask a question. So going once, going twice. Anybody?
That's all right.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thanks, Becka, so much for hopping on. You are incredible. I cannot wait to see you again. Well, I'll see you in Jamaica, and I'm going to give you a big squeeze.
Yes.
We'll go to dinner or something. You have been a huge blessing, and you have poured huge energy, belief, vision, some big nuggets. Like where you just said there, like I had never really connected up for people, and they're like, oh, I'm so busy. My kids do 70,000 things and whatever. Like to connect for them. Like that's awesome. That's actually like a network you could build your business in. Like just that. That's a super great little tip. So very, very fun. Thank you so much for your time. I know you've got little nieces and nephews you're babysitting, so they have been awesome to not run into your house.
I know.
Interrupt. So thank you all for hopping on. We love you guys. It's going to be an amazing close week for everybody.
Yes.
And I'm excited. So yeah, friend Becka, she's got great social media content, lots of fun. And yeah, that's what it is. We're just attracting people. We want to share our lives and our what we have to offer. And what I realized years ago was that everyone that encounters us and everyone that encounters Arbonne is better for it. And so we never have to shy away from sharing the product, sharing the business, because their life will always be better, whether it is for one product, for the business, for a season, forever. You know, their lives will just always be better. When you look at your business through that lens, you can't help but share it with people. So love you all. Thanks so much for hopping on.